This is a brief spoken word piece called Because of the Protest. Because of the protest, I could go to school. I went to an integrated school where boys and girls of all races in the city, from all zip codes in the city, were learning together in the same classrooms. And we all learned that all our lives mattered. Because of the protests, I could also learn that I had history in this nation, that my history as an American didn't begin with civil rights or the Civil War even, but it goes much deeper than that. Because of the protests, I understand that my people built the White House, that my people shared the crops, that made the world go round, that spun the Industrial Revolution. Because of the protests, I could move to any part of town I wanted to, any part of town that I could afford. I could buy or rent a home anywhere in my own hometown because of those protests. Because of those protests, I could vote. Me, I could vote, a 44-year-old man. In fact, when my grandmother died in 2009, just a few months earlier, she had voted in Alabama for president for a black man. And when she left Alabama in the early 40s, she couldn't vote at all. So because of the protests, I could see my grandmother's joy at the inauguration of America's first non-white president. Because of the protests. Because of the protests, on my senior year oral history project in high school, I could interview a man who had been in the protests, who had actually contributed to the Brown versus WoRd of Education civil rights case against the United States government, effectively, that gave me the right to be in said school. And that was my aunt's high school principal. My aunt went to school, you see, in the 60s to Louisville Central Colored High School. They had changed the name, but they still had books, and I've seen them that literally said Louisville Central Colored High School. So because of the protests, I didn't have to go to a colored high school, but I could speak to people who had survived it. Because of the protest, I have some white friends. There are some people very close to me in my life who have always been there. In fact, of many different shades, colors, national, ethnic origins, religions, whom I call friends and family. Because of those protests, it's possible for us to more clearly, unblindingly, and unconditionally love one another because of the protests. Because of the protests, I have the responsibility of talking to every young person that I encounter, and letting them know that there is a history, that the present has meaning, and therefore we must make together our future. Because of protesters like them, I knew that I could be black, that I could be gay, that I could be an activist, that I could be a writer, that I could travel all around the world and be me and spread love and talk about peace because of the protests. Peace out to nonviolence.